Hey, welcome to today's video. So in today's video, I just wanted to talk about how to do stressful things, but still not allow yourself to feel that stressed. So the first thing I would say is, let's say that you're working and you have like really stressful task you've got to do, and maybe you've got some time pressure on you as well. The first thing that I would suggest is not to focus too hard on the deadline itself, not to focus too hard on the negatives that are associated with missing that deadline. Because I think what a lot of people will do is they'll start obsessing about, there's a lot to do if I don't finish it, X and Y will happen, and they start creating a false narrative in their head, which really stresses them out. And I think the best thing to do is to not do that, because you're just setting yourself up to have anxiety, stress, and overall be less productive. Because if you're in a state of stress and anxiety, you're just not gonna be able to perform at your best. It's like in an exam scenario, some pressure may be useful, but a lot of people take on too much pressure and too much stress in an exam, and that actually can kind of paralyze you, and it stops your thoughts from flowing as freely and prevents you from really doing your best in that exam. Like I remember I had an exam in my A levels, and I prepared really hard for it, and it was actually my maths A levels, right? And in the mock paper before that particular maths paper, I got 100% in the mock paper, so I was very well prepared. But what happened on the day of the exam is, firstly, my nerves were quite bad on that day, and then on top of that, there was a fire alarm that went off during the exam, and that really, it kind of caught me off guard. And then I was stressing about, oh, are they going to take that time off my exam paper time? Uh, and it was really stressing me out, right? And what ended up happening is that because I was so stressed from the pressure I felt in that exam, and keep in mind, it's all in your head. Like, yes, don't get me wrong, there is pressure, but you're actually creating additional pressure with your thoughts in your head. So learning how to manage your thoughts and kind of control your reaction to that pressure is really important. And basically, in that exam, because of the stress from the fire alarm and the negative thoughts in my head, like, what if I run out of time? Like, oh, this question looks difficult. And then when a question looked difficult, I wasn't even taking the time to try and understand it. My mind and thoughts were just so full of anxiety and rushing so fast that I couldn't even read the question properly. That's how bad it was. And as a result, like, I still got an A, but I should have got an A star. And it was frustrating for me, but it just taught me the importance not only of preparing for the exam, but also being prepared in terms of your mental state to be able to handle the pressure, and also to be able to handle unexpected events, because obviously the fire alarm's not an expected event. And so that kind of draws on to the present day and also to the workplace, not letting your thoughts get the better of you when it comes to your work and the tasks you've got to do. So that's the first thing I'd say, is don't let your thoughts get the better of you. Keep a calm mind. Don't obsess about potential negative outcomes about the deadline. Don't do that. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing I would say is that you need to focus very heavily on what you can control. So understand the resources available to you, like, who's on your team, how competent are they, what tasks can they do in the project, and then understand what your role is clearly in the project. So the first thing would be is understand clearly what your role is, what your responsibilities are, and then focus on the inputs in alignment with those responsibilities that you can have control over. And once you are clear in what you have control over, that's exactly where you need to divert your energy. Focus your energy on the inputs, as that will be directly what determines the output. And so, like I said, focusing on the output will only get you stressed out. Focusing on the inputs that are actually in your control means that your stress and anxiety will only get worse if for example, you've got to, I don't know, let's say you've got to write an essay for university and you just decide to do something else. Like, obviously, that's going to build in the back of your mind. So part of that stress management and anxiety management is just not procrastinating and not lazing around, getting distracted. That comes into it, right? So, say for example, you've got to write an essay, block some time out in your day that you're going to write your essay. You know, if you've got a deadline and you don't block out the time in your diary, that's going to give you a lot more anxiety, because you're like, oh, I'm going to want to go out with friends here and there, and then you're just like, oh, but when am I going to have time to write the essay? And it kind of sits in the back of your mind. Whereas if you actually know that, okay, I need to spend about 5 hours writing the last core of my essay for my assessment this term, then you can allocate those 5 hours, and then you'll be comfortable that yeah, I've set aside enough time for it, and now I can get on with the rest of my day. And then the next thing I would say is that I think a lot of us just generally make things seem like life or death, and I mean that can just be maybe the pressure you get from family, the pressure you feel from other people. But at the end of the day, what you have to understand is that you will do your best, right? I like put the time aside, do your best, but whatever the outcome is, you shouldn't really. If it's negative, you shouldn't beat yourself up about it. So I feel like a lot of the pressure that people feel is pressure they put on themselves. You think it's maybe pressure from other people, and yes, there may be pressure from other people, but you can have pressure from other people and not feel that much pressure because it's all to do with your reaction to the pressure other people put on you. So learn to only care as much about how you see yourself and the pressure you put on yourself, and that is something in your control. You can choose the pressure you give to yourself. And the mindset that I like to adopt, like when I had a lot of high pressure scenarios and exams and things, was always that, look, I'm going to do my best without ruining my health, and whatever the outcome is, I'm going to accept that outcome. Now obviously I wanted the outcome to be a certain way, but my thinking was that I have control over the input, and I don't exactly, I can't be 100% sure of the output, right? Because I'm not an examiner. I don't know how they're going. I don't know whether the examiner's going to give me points here or there. So the best thing for me to focus on is the input and just doing my best. And I would just focus on being satisfied internally that I really, I put in the time, I did my best, and that's that. So I think one of the skills that I want to go into deeper in a later video is kind of how to not put that pressure on yourself, because the same person can do an exam as another person, and one person might have so much stress and the other person would still be just as well prepared and probably score around the same, maybe even higher, but not feel stressed about it. And actually, by being less stressed about it, they're performing better because they have a calm mind. So that's kind of the point of this channel, right? It's to learn how to have a relaxed and calm mind, and as a result, have better health and actually do better in your work and exams as a result. So thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.